All right, y'all. Welcome back to a new episode of So Worthy the podcast. I am so glad that you chose to listen and come back again. So Worthy is all about how to play in your 20s and lead a godly lifestyle. So if that is something you're like, ooh, it sounds pretty cool, I want to learn more about it, definitely subscribe and also share this with a friend. All right, so y'all, how many times do we have a roommate that we meet and that person is in the way that we anticipated, or we have a roommate who is exactly what we anticipated, or we have a roommate who is just like a lot different than us, or we have a roommate who is so similar to us. Whether it's your first time living with someone and you just moved off campus for the first time, or you're like in your 30s or your 20s and you have a roommate. Like, we all typically have roommates, and if you've never had a roommate, okay, like this, listen to another episode. But if you have a roommate, or if you ever had a roommate, keep listening, because this episode, you're definitely gonna leave this episode with like just a new mindset on like rooming with someone. All right, and so y'all, let me tell you a story real quick. A couple of years ago, I had this one roommate, Shalom, and y'all have heard me talk about her in past episodes. Shalom is like a really huge part of my journey into coming to Christ and following Jesus, and that like we both got saved like a month or two apart from each other. But then also at the same time, like she's like one of my most like notorious roommate stories. So let me tell you a story a couple of years ago about apple juice. A couple of years ago, Shalom and I were living together, and this is when we were both at JMU. We were living together, and she went in the fridge, and I saw her drinking juice, and I literally said to her, "Are you really drinking my juice?" I said, "My juice, my juice." And so then she goes and like pops off on me. She's like, "Gabby, how dare you say that? This is your juice, when I will give you anything in this house, and I share anything with y'all, and you're really gonna talk about my apple juice?" And so I was just like, what do I do? Like, oh, I really ticked her off. Like, are you still friends anymore? Like, oh. And then later on, we had communicated throughout, after our conflict, we had communicated and talked about how she felt like I was being selfish, which I look back now as being so selfish. I'm being so like individualistic, like super American mindset, all these things, right? And her mindset is very community oriented, and that's where I'm at today now. And so like we had talked, and so then like we talked that through, but then also um yeah, we talked it through. Yeah. And so if you're having roommate issues, or if you're someone who, you have a friend, or you moved in and you were like such close friends, and like now you're like kind of like drifting apart, like tectonic, or whatever it's called, like tectonic plates, like they're all like just going past each other or whatever, keep listening to this episode, because I'm about to drop some really good things. Now let me go back to apple juice first, because this is gonna be the setup for everything else. So when her and I had that disagreement, and we had to communicate through the conflict and everything, it made me realize how selfish I was, but then also it made me realize that this is her home. This is not just her home. And so number one thing to do, you're going through like roommate conflict and everything, is to number one communicate. It's like there is being passive aggressive, there is being aggressive, there's being confrontational, there's being non-confrontational. I feel like you and the person you're living with should know who each other is. Yeah, is. But then also you should know how both of you are. So say for instance, for me, I'm a little bit more on the side of confrontational. Now, if I'm with someone who is passive aggressive, or I'm with someone who's non confrontational, I try to back off a little bit from being very confrontational, because I just don't want to be controlled, and I don't want to be overbearing. Especially when those are things that the Lord has worked within me in these past years of like living with people. And so that's the first thing to do, is like y'all need to communicate. It's like, how's an issue going to get solved if it's not talked about? You get what I'm saying? Now, On the flip side, let me talk to people who can be like me, point out every single thing or think about everything with a single thing that's not going right. I said communicate about a problem, but everything cannot be a problem. If I get mad, trying to think of an example. If I get mad, I don't even share a bathroom right now. But like, say, imagine I share a bathroom with someone and they always leave toothpaste in the sink, right? If I don't communicate about the toothpaste in the sink, but I go and I gossiped all my friends about the toothpaste in the sink, like, how is this issue supposed to get solved? And so, yeah, that's the first thing to do is communicate. Number two is going back. Number one and two tie into to each other, but also is to realize that conflict is going to happen, in that like when we have conflict, it's not always a bad thing. Like if we don't agree on every single thing, it's okay. Y'all, think about when we are married to our spouses. When we are married to our spouses, are we really going to agree on every single thing? um are we really, like, every single thing? Come on. So you tell me you like blue and he gonna like blue. Your favorite color is black and white, his favorite color is gonna be black and white. It's probably not gonna be like that. And so think about our roommates, maybe in that sense it might help. And then also realize that like conflict is going to come. If I live with someone, or if I live with if I'm married and I'm in a relationship, I'm gonna say married, I'm not even gonna say in a relationship. If I'm in a relationship, I should be like living with that person, a person of the opposite sex from me. And I'm like relationship, like I shouldn't be in a relationship and be living up and housed up with someone who I'm not with. That's just not me. That's not what I believe in. And so, okay, so let's go to marriage. Say I am married and him and I are having conflict, and we got married like 4 days ago. Like, it's okay, because if we agreed on every single thing, or if we never had conflict, we probably never have realness. If I never have any conflict, or I never disagree with anything that someone I love does, then that doesn't make sense. But then also at the same time, it's like, yeah, it just don't make sense. Like I don't mean, there's no other way for me to say that. It don't make sense. Honey, we're supposed to go 365 days with someone, the person we live with, whether this is spouse, roommate, or anything. We're supposed to go 365 days with someone and never have conflict. That is not, that's not perfection. Also, it's like, I don't know. Okay, let me hop back on because I feel like I'm going down a rabbit hole going down that way. All right, so communication conflict. That's another thing. And then number three is cleaning. Mm, Something that I always say, and I will, excuse me, something that I always will say, and something I've realized over the last couple of years is realize and try to come to an agreement on what is the definition of clean. Y'all, come realize and come to an agreement on what is the definition of clean for someone. What is clean to me is not clean to someone else. What is clean to someone else may not be clean to me. What and vice versa, and if we can like keep this going. And so I really think it's a good idea is just to lay down a framework of what's your definition of clean? When you say the kitchen is clean end of the night, what does that mean for you? And when you say that I need to sweep the floor, what does that mean for you? When you say to wipe down the counters, what does that mean for you? Do you use products? Do you not use products? Do you use chemicals? Do you not use chemicals? There's like just cleaning, or even laundry. When you say that you want laundry folded and put it away, what does that mean? Say for instance, if I fold my laundry, I pretty much fold most of my laundry, but like if it's like clothes that have to go in the closet, I don't care. And so laundry is folded when like my basic necessities are folded, right? But that's my definition. Someone else is like might be like every single thing needs to be folded and up in the closet, and that is folded laundry. And so that's just a couple of examples of how to live with your roommates if you're going through communication issues, conflict issues, or cleaning issues. Listen to this episode, pray on it, pray, and ask the Lord to direct you and how to be a better roommate, or even how to be a better spouse. I'm about to go, if if you don't want to listen to anything about marriage, don't keep listening to the rest of this episode. Hop off. I'll see you next week. But if you are interested in getting married, or you have the desire to get married, keep listening. Y'all, let me just say how I'm feeling. Let me just say how I'm feeling real quick. Y'all, when we get married, our spouse is our forever roommate. And so when we are dealing with communication issues, we're dealing with conflict, we're dealing with cleaning issues, don't we wouldn't it be something to consider that the issues or the problems or the issues and the problems that we're dealing with are like preparation for marriage. That's just the way I think. Because like if my husband, not if, when my husband is my spouse and like we're together and everything, that's my forever roommate. Like I'm not gonna have like we may have people living with us or we may have in laws come in, which I don't mind or anything. But like y'all, that's not just our forever roommate, and so that's just something I want y'all to sink into and think about. And I'm using a quick example before we go, which is dishes. If I am married, if I'm married and I we both agree that no dishes are in the sink at the end of the night, and my husband leaves the dish in the sink, am I really going to get up the next morning and look at him in his face and tell him, you need to put your dish in the sink at the end of the night? Or am I going to swallow whatever, like pride or whatever uniformity or whatever rules or whatever that I have? And am I going to put that dish in the dishwasher or just wash his dish? And so that's just an example. But it's just something to think of. And so, like, even now with having a roommate, if she leaves that dish in dish in the day and it's not in the dishwasher, am I always going to leave it there, or I'm just put it in the dishwasher or just put it in the dish? Because it's the same habit that I want to build up now. So then by the time I get married and we're together, I already have that habit of helping out. I already have the habit of being a helper. I already have the habit of being supportive. Like I already want to have that muscle so by the time I get married, it's like, okay. It's not to say that marriage is not going without problems, but it's just to say that like some kinks have been worked out because I already have the habit. All right, y'all. That's enough about roommate and that's enough about roommates. I feel like I could go on. Also, if this really like stuck to you or this was helpful, please DM me because this was not the topic I imagined talking about this week. All right, y'all. I love you so much and I hope you have an amazing week.